Okay, so Substance Painter. It probably opened some kind of window on top. You can just close those. It asks something. And we are now in Substance. I'm just gonna check the mic. Yeah, it's recording. So, Substance Painter is the program we make textures in. So, we paint substances here. So, material on top of a model. And we can also use the Substance Painter for baking maps on top of your models. And that means combining the high poly and the low poly. So the retopologized version and then the original high poly version. Okay, but let's we don't need any projects yet. We'll first go through the program with like a sample project, and you can find it if you open File, and then there is Open Sample. So just close the windows, other windows, and then Open Sample, and then we'll open the Meet Matte Substance Painter project. And click Open. And I'm just gonna put this in the same kind of view. Okay, so that's Matt. He's a ready-made project which has a low poly and high poly, and the high poly maps already baked in. First of all, the view, you can see it like it's normally looks like this. It's quite similar to Photoshop. So you have like your tools here and then your menus here, and then the drop-down menus up here. And this is really like customizable, so you can like drag all of these things and put them like to different parts. So if it looks goofy, you can of course reset it from window and reset UI. So if it's goofy, just push reset UI. The Painter shows by default a double view, the actual 3D view on the left, and then the UVs on the right. So that's the normal view. We normally just want to see the 3D model because that's what we're gonna do. Mostly painting on the 3D. You can change the views by pressing F1, 2, or 3, or 4, but it's hard with a Mac because you need to push function key on top of the delete and then the F1. So you can just use the buttons here on top. So on this area, the leftmost is the views. And you can click yourself into 3D only. And now you can only see the 3D model. So on the left, you can see the tools, and on the right, you can see menus, and on the bottom, there is a place called shelf where is all kinds of stuff like stored. Then let's have a look at the view. So if you want to pan the camera, you press Alt and then press on the empty space. So Alt goes around and you can see the model. Then if you press Alt and the left mouse button, which is on your the bottom part of the stylus button, that's zooming in. So Alt, mouse left, or then the button on the stylus on the pen of the, that's zooming in. And you can also zoom in with the mouse wheel, but it's better to learn those without the wheel because you will be using the graphics tablet with Painter, so you need to learn those. Then there is last one what you won't be using that much, which is moving the camera side by side, and that's Alt and third button of the middle mouse button. And I actually don't know what that is in with the stylus. I can check that out. So Alt left mouse button goes around, Alt middle mouse button moves, and Alt left mouse button zooms in. And as always, when you change program to another, it's always takes some time to get used to it, but you get used to it. Okay, then the model. This model has already been separated into textures, into texture sets, which are like shaders here, and those are head, body, and base. So they are all of the areas are different. You can see them in here, and if you want to, you can click on the solo button to just see one of those. So only the head, or only the body, or only the base. And then just click again on the set solo button to unselect it to see all of those. Okay, now we should have a normal layer here on the layers. And now we can try to put some paint on top of this layer. One more thing which is really important. The lights. The Painter has, as you can see, it already looks like it's quite like fancy looking. You can actually see how it looks like the material on top of the model. It's different than in other programs. And the problem here is that some of the areas are darker than the others, so we might need to turn the model or the lights. And that is done by shift and right dragging. So shift and with the stylus button or right button from the from mouse, and that's how you can change the lights. They have this fancy glare. We can get rid of that later on, but so that was the last one. Okay, then let's go back to the, let's check the some of the painting things. So we should have a normal layer here. The layers like they work in really similar way than in Photoshop, but they are way more complicated. So these can get really like confusing because it has a lot of features. So let's try to keep it as clean as possible. Okay, now I can see my model and I have the layer selected because it's my only layer. We can try painting on top. So just go with your stylus or your mouse, and you should be able to paint on top of the model. And then you can change the view, and you can see that the paint goes just as it looks like. on the from the view you are looking at. So this is the power of Substance, is that we can actually paint on top of the model. As if you've tried hand painting on maps before, it can be quite tedious. So you can see it if I change this to the map view, you can see, okay, the paint is here and here and here, as I just painted it. Okay, let's look at some of the paint things. When I normally have always properties window here on the bottom right. I'll just take this up here so that you can see it better, but please keep it there where it is. So it's just like in Photoshop. You have size for the brush, and then you have flow. Flow is what we use more here than opacity. So just use the flow, not the opacity. But it's the same thing practically. And then we have a lot of more possibilities here, but those are the most important ones. We can change these straight with commands from the keyboard, and those are control and something. So control I mean command, because we are in Mac. So command and command and drag from right to left. That is the flow. So that is practically the same than opacity. So command and drag from left to right, that is flow. From up and down, it turns so command up and down dragging, it goes around. But it doesn't matter because we have a round brush now. But you can see it from the view. So command and drag. Then command and left drag, so the button from here, that to the side, to the left and right, it changes the size. So command drag with the left mouse button. I created it. So command left mouse button, left to right, that's the size. And command right drag, or the button drag up and down, that's the hardness of the edge. So hardness and size from the command drag with the right button of the mouse. So try to change all of those for a moment.